Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on general knowledge. Let's take a look at our Quiz Class awards. Let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. So let's begin. Which early breakfast cereal was marketed as the cereal shot from guns? Puffed wheat, corn pops, or Wheaties? Puffed wheat. Which airline was known as the Airline of the Stars in the 50s and 60s? Pan Am, American Airlines, or TWA? TWA. Which 1950s luxury train featured domed observation cars and ran from Chicago to San Francisco? The Silver Meteor, the California Zephyr, or the Empire Builder? The California Zephyr. Which 1960s court case led to the requirement that police officers recite rights upon arrest in the U.S.? Miranda versus Arizona, Escobedo versus Illinois, or Gideon versus Wainwright? Miranda versus Arizona. Which U.S. city hosted the World's Fair that introduced the idea of the world of tomorrow? New York City, Chicago, or San Francisco? New York City. Which U.S. president had polio and concealed it from the public during his presidency? Woodrow Wilson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, or Dwight D. Eisenhower? Franklin D. Roosevelt. Which author's 1962 book launched the environmental movement? Aldo Leopold, Rachel Carson, or Jane Goodall? Rachel Carson. In what year were the Olympic Games held in Asia for the first time? 1970, 1952, or 1964? 1964. Which golfer is known for winning the Masters tournament 6 times between 1963 and 1986? Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, or Gary Player? Jack Nicklaus. Which female gymnast scored the first perfect 10 in Olympic history during the 1976 Montreal Games? Olga Korbut, Nadia Comaneci, or Mary Lou Retton? Nadia Comaneci. Which dog breed was once nicknamed the nanny dog? Pit Bull, German Shepherd, or Boxer? Pit Bull. Which news anchor became a trusted voice during the JFK assassination and moon landing broadcasts? Dan Rather, Edward R. Murrow, or Walter Cronkite? Walter Cronkite. What was the name of the airplane that Charles Lindbergh flew solo across the Atlantic in 1927? The Spirit of St. Louis, the Wright Flyer, or Enola Gay? The Spirit of St. Louis. What 1950s brand promised better living through chemistry? Monsanto, DuPont, or Pillsbury? DuPont. Which popular seasoning mix was introduced by Lawry's in the 1930s? Garlic powder, seasoned salt, or lemon pepper? Seasoned salt. What was the original filling flavor of Hostess Twinkies when they were first invented in the 1930s? Vanilla, chocolate, or banana? Banana. Who developed the first oral contraceptive pill? Dr. Gregory Pincus, Margaret Sanger, or Marie Curie? Dr. Gregory Pincus. Which TV show was originally titled The Toast of the Town? The Tonight Show, Your Show of Shows, or The Ed Sullivan Show? The Ed Sullivan Show. Tangy was a popular 1930s lip product that changed color based on what? Skin complexion, skin pH, or body temperature? Skin complexion. What kitchen device was invented by Percy Spence and was originally used as a radar system in World War II? The electric toaster, the microwave oven, or popcorn maker? Microwave oven. How many unique words did Dr. Seuss use in his book Green Eggs and Ham? 65, 76, or 50? 50 words. Which NASA project collected weather and Earth observation data via satellite in the early 60s? Gemini, Skylab, or TIROS? TIROS. Which compact beauty product was known as Rouge Pot in the 1930s? Blush, lip gloss, or face powder? Blush. Which instant food was created in 1958 by Momofuku Ando? Canned soup, instant curry rice, or instant ramen? Instant ramen. What event was added to the Winter Olympics for the first time in 1960? Snowboarding, ice dancing, or biathlon? Biathlon. Which makeup artist was responsible for making pancake makeup popular on film sets in the 1930s? Max Factor, Helena Rubinstein, or Elizabeth Arden? Max Factor. Which animal was declared extinct in 1936, though unconfirmed sightings of it continued for decades? Tasmanian tiger, dodo, or passenger pigeon? Tasmanian tiger. Who developed the Pap smear for early cancer detection in women? George Papanikolaou, Elizabeth Blackwell, or Jonas Salk? George Papanikolaou. Which classical music composer was deaf for most of his career? Bach, Liszt, or Beethoven? Beethoven. Which U.S. First Lady was known for her My Day newspaper column? Bess Truman, Eleanor Roosevelt, or Mamie Eisenhower? Eleanor Roosevelt. The Korean War armistice was signed in 1953 and established a demilitarized zone near which parallel? The 17th, the 38th, or the 45th? The 38th. The 1959 kitchen debate was a series of exchanges between Richard Nixon and which Soviet leader? Mikhail Gorbachev, Leonid Brezhnev, or Nikita Khrushchev? Nikita Khrushchev. Which space scientist designed the Saturn V rocket used in the Apollo missions? Robert Goddard, Wernher von Braun, or Sergei Korolev? Wernher von Braun. Which system of measurement was officially adopted by most scientific communities during the 60s? The imperial system, nautical system, or metric system? The metric system. What was the name of the 1930s chimpanzee that was raised as if she were a human child? Gua, Nim, or Washu? Gua. Which African city was formerly known as Salisbury during British colonial rule? Nairobi, Kigali, or Harare? Harare. Which Nobel Prize-winning author began his career as a journalist in the 1950s? Mario Vargas Llosa, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Pablo Neruda? Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Which psychiatric treatment was widely used in the US in the 1950s? Light therapy, electroconvulsive therapy, or hypnotherapy? Electroconvulsive therapy. What insect-transmitted disease was almost eradicated in the US via DDT spraying in the 1940s? Yellow fever, malaria, or Lyme disease? Malaria. What beauty product was made from coal tar and was hence banned in the US in the late 30s? Black nail polish, Almay eyeliner, or Lash Lure dye? Lash Lure dye. What children's board game launched in 1949 and was created to entertain kids with polio? Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, or Sorry? Candyland. In 1952, the UK tested its first atomic bomb off the coast of which country? Canada, Australia, or South Africa? Australia. What was the name of the royal yacht that served the British monarchy from 1954 to 1997? The HMS Victoria, RMS Windsor, or HMY Britannia? The Britannia. Which Olympic runner lit the flame at the 1964 Tokyo Olympics? Paavo Nurmi, Yoshinori Sakai, or Emil Zatopek? Yoshinori Sakai. What Parisian landmark was initially disliked by the people and was called a monstrosity? The Arc de Triomphe, the Notre Dame, or the Eiffel Tower? The Eiffel Tower. Which U.S. president appointed the first woman to the Supreme Court? Ronald Reagan, Lyndon B. Johnson, or Richard Nixon? Ronald Reagan. Which British Prime Minister was known for the phrase, "You've never had it so good"? Edward Heath, Harold Macmillan, or Alec Douglas Home? Harold Macmillan. Which over-the-counter antacid became one of the most popular in America in the 1950s? Pepto-Bismol, Rolaids, or Tums? Tums. What was Judy Garland's real name? Judy Lee Garland, Margaret Ellen Davis, or Frances Ethel Gum? Frances Ethel Gum. We are at question 50. Who was famously nicknamed Mr. Television during the early 50s? Jackie Gleason, Milton Berle, or Ed Sullivan? Milton Berle. What was the name of Nancy Drew's first published mystery? The Whispering Statue, The Mystery at Lilac Inn, or Secret of the Old Clock? Secret of the Old Clock. Which soda brand was marketed with the line "Be Sociable" in the 1950s? Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or Dr. Pepper? Pepsi. Which 1930s travel trailer had a signature silver aluminum design and is still popular today? Airstream, Winnebago, or Shasta? Airstream. Which old airline was known as the world's most experienced airline? Pan Am, TWA, or Braniff? Pan Am. Which comedian was famous for his silent slapstick routines and stone face? Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, or Harold Lloyd? Buster Keaton. Which brand used the slogan, "The snack that smiles back"? Cheese Nips, Ritz Bits, or Goldfish? Goldfish. Which Canadian city was the original capital of the country? Toronto, Kingston, or Montreal? Kingston. Which British board game company produced Monopoly in the UK? Waddington Games, Hasbro, or Parker Brothers? Waddington Games. Which Canadian hockey team won 5 consecutive Stanley Cups in the 50s? Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, or Montreal Canadiens? Montreal Canadiens. In what city was the United Nations Charter signed in 1945? San Francisco, New York City, or London? San Francisco. Which 1940s actress was nicknamed the Love Goddess? Lana Turner, Rita Hayworth, or Lauren Bacall? Rita Hayworth. Which legendary baseball player was popularly known as the Iron Horse? Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, or Joe DiMaggio? Lou Gehrig. What year did Newfoundland officially become a part of Canada? 1957, 1949, or 1931? (1949). Which dog breed was originally bred in Canada to help fishermen haul nets? Border Collie, Saint Bernard, or Newfies? Newfies. Which UK political party introduced the National Health Service? Labour, Conservative, or Liberal? Labour. What was the first product Heinz ever sold? Ketchup, pickles, or horseradish? Horseradish. Which element was used in the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima? Uranium-235, plutonium-240, or cesium-137? Uranium-235. During which space mission did astronauts first use the lunar roving vehicle to drive on the moon? Apollo 11, Apollo 13, or Apollo 15? Apollo 15. What was the original name of the Nestle Toll House cookie? Cookie Deluxe, Baker's Special, or Chocolate Crunch Cookie? Chocolate Crunch Cookie. In what year did McDonald's introduce the Big Mac? 1974, 1967, or 1959? 1967. What was the name of the 1932 protest that was organized by thousands of World War I veterans? Bonus Army March, Liberty Corps, or Soldier Uprising? Bonus Army March. What was the name of Hitler's failed 1923 military coup attempt? The Munich Revolt, the Reich Rebellion, or Beer Hall Putsch? The Beer Hall Putsch. Who composed the music for the 1957 Broadway musical West Side Story? Cole Porter, Richard Rodgers, or Leonard Bernstein? Leonard Bernstein. Which Polaroid camera model introduced instant color film in 1963? The SX70, the Polaroid 100, or the Polaroid 300? The Polaroid 100. Which 1950s comedy duo had a popular sketch show called Colgate Comedy Hour? Martin and Lewis, Abbott and Costello, or Burns and Allen? Martin and Lewis. Which singer was known as the Empress of the Blues in the 1920s? Billie Holiday, Bessie Smith, or Ella Fitzgerald? Bessie Smith. Which car was one of the first mass-produced vehicles in the world? The Buick Runabout, the Mercedes Simplex, or the Ford Model T? The Ford Model T. Which American boxer lost his heavyweight title in 1967 for refusing military service? Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, or Sonny Liston? Muhammad Ali. What was the name of the first female British Member of Parliament? Nancy Astor, Emmeline Pankhurst, or Barbara Castle? Nancy Astor. Who was the first woman to serve as Speaker of the House of Commons in Canada? Ellen Fairclough, Flora MacDonald, or Jeanne Sauvé? Jeanne Sauvé. Which 1939 novel discussed the dark underside of Hollywood life? The Big Sleep, Gone with the Wind, or The Day of the Locust? The Day of the Locust. What was the first makeup company to release a full line of products for women of color in the 1970s? Fashion Fair, Revlon, or Coty? Fashion Fair. Which influential jazz musician was nicknamed Yardbird? Thelonious Monk, Charlie Parker, or Dizzy Gillespie? Charlie Parker. Who designed the TWA Flight Center at JFK Airport? Eero Saarinen, Frank Lloyd Wright, or I.M. Pei? Eero Saarinen. Which car model was the first in the US to include seatbelts as standard equipment? The Chevrolet Impala, the Ford Thunderbird, or Volvo 122? The Volvo 122. Which 1960s fashion guru became known for his jumpsuit and television show? Charles Atlas, Vic Tanny, or Jack LaLanne? Jack LaLanne. In the 1930s, which brand introduced the first mass-produced vacuum cleaner? Electrolux, Hoover, or Dirt Devil? Hoover. Which technology company produced the first commercial computer mouse? Apple, Xerox, or IBM? Xerox. What was the first animated television series to air in prime time? The Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, or the Flintstones? The Flintstones. How much did a new Ford Model T cost in 1927? Around $300, around $800, or around $1,200? Around $300. Which baseball team became famous in the 1950s for winning 5 straight World Series titles? The Brooklyn Dodgers, the St. Louis Cardinals, or the New York Yankees? The New York Yankees. Which 1940 U.S. law required that men aged 21 to 35 register for military service? The GI Bill, the War Powers Act, or Selective Training and Service Act? Selective Training and Service Act. What product claimed in 1970s ads to be strong enough for a man but made for a woman? Noxzema, Aquanet, or Secret deodorant? Secret deodorant. Which Canadian Prime Minister started family allowance? William Lyon Mackenzie King, John Diefenbaker, or Lester Pearson? William Lyon Mackenzie King. Which UK football club won the First Division title in the 1960-61 season? Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, or Arsenal? Tottenham Hotspur. What was the name of the first successful communications satellite that was launched in 1962? Echo, Telstar, or Intelsat? Telstar. How many Oscars did the 1959 film Ben-Hur win and set a record for the most wins at the time? 9, 15, or 11? What was the name of the first digital watch introduced in 1972? Casio Chrono, Timex Quartz, or Pulsar? Pulsar. Which pharmaceutical company introduced the first oral contraceptive pill for women? Merck, Pfizer, or GD Searle? G.D. Searle. Which 1970s hit song by Gloria Gaynor became an anthem for empowerment and independence? I Am Woman, Staying Alive, or I Will Survive? I Will Survive. And our bonus question. The first television show to air in color in the United States was what? Let us know the answer in the comments, and of course how well you did with our quiz class Einstein Reward rankings. Thanks for playing this quiz, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.